Hello everyone, Professor Arnelene Torres here for another session of 21st Century Skills, Learning and Development. So for this video presentation, we will be learning about the education's role in the 21st century. So previously or last week, you've heard about the education's role and we have reviewed what is the education's role according to the different economic stages that our society underwent. Like, for example, we learned what is the role of education for the agricultural stage. Then, as the economy progresses, we move up to the industrial age, and the education is doing a different role for that economic stage or industrial age. And then moving forward, we also learned what is the education's role for the knowledge age. Now, as we move forward to the 21st century lesson, let me again highlight education's role in the 21st century. So, let's start. In the knowledge age, okay, so when we say knowledge age, we are using the power of our brain in order for us to do some work. And as I've said, the 21st century workplace needs people who are not only capable of doing things physically, but they also need people or workforces that can think creatively, can innovate things, can give a solution to a certain problem. So let's see the knowledge age uh, progression as we look at this video slide. So brain power replaces brawn power. So what is brawn power? Brawn power means the muscle. It means that you need to be strong in order for you to do the work in the workplace. And that brawn power is being replaced by mechanical horsepower, which is actually the power coming from machines that help the workers to manufacture or to come up with something. And that also gives way to what we call Hertz power. Hertz power is what powers the internet connections that we have. It's what speeds up the internet connection. So, this is how we see things in the knowledge age. I mean, we look back at the power of muscles, then moving forward, the man is working together with the machine, and now we're moving towards the need for electronic hertz power. Achieving education's goals in our times is shaped by increasingly powerful technologies. So, what are these technologies? If we see inside the classroom, uh, the professor and the students are using digital tools in order for them to for the professor to present his ideas and conduct his lecture, and for students to take notes maybe, or if say for example they do not understand a word, they usually use a gadget like your smartphone can be used as a dictionary. So we see that the education's goal in our times is shaped by the increasing powerful technologies that we use for communicating, collaborating, and learning. And learning assumes a central role throughout life. So, at this point, let's see what is education's role in the 21st century. First one is contributing to work and society. To be a productive contributor to society in our 21st century, you need to quickly learn the core content of a field of knowledge while also mastering a broad portfolio of essential learning, innovation, technology, and career skills required for work and life. And when you apply these skills to today's knowledge and innovation work, you are participating in a global network in which, for example, A product may be designed in California, manufactured in China, assembled in South Korea, and sold in chain stores in cities across the world. This global network of economic, technological, political, social, and ecological interconnections is no less than breathtaking. We work with the support of multiple teams spread across the world to get things done, solve problems, and create and deliver new services. But since our interlinked economies depend on the natural and human resources from around the globe, we must continually find new ways to preserve our natural world while building more harmonious, culturally rich, and creative societies. So, what did I say about contributing to work in society? How do we understand it in simple terms? So, when we say contributing to work in society, the first thing that we do as a student, or the first thing that education does to us, is to give us core content. It teaches us to learn the core content, meaning to say, if you're studying tourism, then you learn about tourism. If you're studying business, you learn about business. If you are studying engineering, you learn about engineering. So that's the core content. And innovation means it only does not teach you important theories and concepts, but it also teaches you how to think. Okay? How to think, as well as how to maximize the use of technology, and how to learn the different skills needed as you look forward to be in the workplace. And also, it helps you find new ways to preserve our natural world. Why do we keep on developing? Why do we keep on finding ways? Like, for example, a solution to a coronavirus infection, or maybe making education accessible to all. That is because we need to make life more productive and more simple. So preserving natural world would mean, nowadays we talk about sustainability. We only don't talk about the consumption of the earth's natural resources, but we also talked about how we can preserve our world, because we only have one world to live, and this one world to live needs to be taken care of for our next generation. And also, we are expected to build harmonious. What is harmonious? A peaceful society. A society that has different people, culturally rich, meaning people from different cultures would share their culture, will try to understand each other, will really make themselves strong, better, because they are in harmony. And in that way, we can come up with creative societies. An example of a creative society that I did mention a while ago is when societies collaborate. Like, I gave you an example about a product that was designed in California, manufactured in China, assembled in South Korea, and sold in the chain stores in cities across the world. Let's say, for example, the Apple products. Who who designed it? Who manufactures the parts? Who assembles it? We cannot say that it's just one country who's doing everything, but it is really a collaboration of different societies. Okay? So, are we clear about this? Now, the next thing is fulfilling personal talents. So, what are personal talents? With only 77% of the world's school aged children currently in school, we have a long way to go to reach universal access to basic education. But countries are stepping up their investments in education as an economic imperative. And as a result, more students are gaining more opportunities to develop their talents. Today, nearly 2 billion cell phones are in use around the world, and access to the internet is rapidly increasing in schools, homes, community centers, and internet cafes worldwide. This is providing even more opportunities to learn and develop skills. As amplifiers, storerooms, and sensory extensions for our thinking and communicating, digital devices and the internet are today's power tools for building abilities and sharing talents. Making these tools universally accessible and closing the digital divide between the information rich and the information poor will provide more opportunities for learners to realize their potential. People everywhere will then be able to contribute their own special talents and gifts to the health and welfare of their community, the economy, and the society as a whole. So, to make what I said simpler, let me just say that the technology that you're using now or the different devices are power tools for building abilities and sharing talents. Gone are the days that you have to make use of your brain alone to develop something. Now, we have some power tools. We have different devices that can help us build our abilities. Like, for example, you want to learn how to bake, then you can use YouTube. You want to learn how to maybe cook, you have probably, I would say, gadgets in the kitchen that will help you to do things better. Like maybe instead of just using your hand for whisking the egg or for beating, maybe you can use a beater, an electric mixer. Okay, so we have a lot of power tools, we have a lot of devices that can help us develop ourselves better. And in that way, if we have different abilities, then we can share our talents to people who are in need. Okay? So we are gaining skills, we are gaining knowledge, we're learning skills, I mean, gaining knowledge not only for our own use, but for other people as well. That's why it says here that people everywhere can contribute their talents and gift to health and welfare of their community, economy, and society. We are men for others. We should not keep the talents to ourselves, but instead use it well for other people and for the society. We also did mention about the increasing internet connections that are set up in schools, in homes, in community centers, and even internet cafes. These are actually connections made in order for us to develop our skills, to learn and develop our skills. And so, one thing that the government maybe or some private organizations, non-government organizations would like to uplift the quality of education is to set up like a mobile classroom. What is a mobile classroom that we have here? A mobile classroom is an example that showcases that learning cannot just be confined in school, that learning can be done anywhere, like what I've said, an internet cafe or in a community center. This mobile classroom is something that is built for it to travel and to go to different places that don't have the access to technology. Okay, so that's the second role of education, to help us fulfill our personal talents. Next is fulfilling civic responsibilities. With the access to the expanded spectrum of issues, facts, opinions, and conversations that are increasingly media rich and internet connected, um, uh, the world brings us or brings us out the potential for informed participation in a democratic decision making that has never been better. So nowadays, we can say that the email, the internet, the cell phones have made it easier for us to connect with others, for us to share our interests and concerns, for us to coordinate our civic, social, and community activities. However, simultaneously with this is the potential for information overload, distraction, and analysis paralysis when facing demands for attention from too many sources, ranging from well informed and reliable to woefully uninformed and even deliberately misleading is also high. Learning to manage our digital power tools and to apply the critical thinking and information literacy skills needed to put all this information to good use is a clear challenge for the 21st century. Now, in order for us to understand what I have said and maybe what I have read from the handout that I have given you, fulfilling civic responsibilities in uh, a simple explanation would be caring for others. And how do we do this? Like, for example, we cannot get in touch with maybe our professor, with another person, because we cannot make any excuse. Why? Because there's always a way to connect. Like, for example, the use of email, the use of internet, the use of cell phones. It makes us easier to connect with others. It makes us easier to really share our concerns and interests. Like, for example, one thing that is happening now because of the use of technology is a thing called cyberbullying. Maybe you've heard of what is bullying. And bullying is speaking others, bullying is belittling someone or demeaning a person. And it can be done before it's done face to face. But now it can be done in the internet. So, as a responsible citizen, how do you show your concern to people who are victims or who are victims, yeah, of cyberbullying? So, what we're trying to say here is we have the technology that we can use to empower ourselves to express our concerns, but also that same technology can bring um, maybe harm to us. Like, for example, it can give us maybe like wrong information or deliberately misleading information. And so, the challenge to the students, or to the challenge of the learners of the 21st century, is for us to learn how to manage our digital power tools. Meaning, if we have access to any social media like Facebook, like Twitter, like Instagram, to use it wisely, to use it probably to share your talents, to share your skills, but not to mislead people. So the idea is to put all this information to good use. And that is also what comes when we use the technology. Okay? So remember that we have a responsibility towards others. That's why the third education's role in the 21st century is to fulfill civic responsibilities. And it teaches us how. How do we do that? Nowadays, because people are using the media, people are using internet. So, our way to communicate and to probably show our concern will also be the use of these digital tools. So, the lesson that we have here is learning to manage our digital power tools and also to apply critical thinking and information literally skills. So for the last part, we have carrying forward traditions and values. Learning the core principles and traditions of a field of knowledge and blending this with the knowledge and practices of other fields to invent and introduce new knowledge, new services, and new products will be a high demand skill set in the 21st century. I'd like to repeat what is carrying what is the idea about this one. So it teaches us that we have to blend with the knowledge uh, and practices of other fields to introduce and invent new knowledge, new services, and new product. Also, another issue in carrying forward traditions and values, increased mobility, meaning to say people are moving in different places to work. Immigration, people are trying to settle into a place that they think will be the best place, probably for their family and for their children to grow up. Intermarriage, so people are not just getting married to their own people or to have to the same race, but instead there are intermarriages. And access to job opportunities worldwide have led to another kind of blending and mixing communities across the globe. So in short, it makes our world more, or it makes, yes, our place, like for example here in Daegu, more culturally diverse. Though this diversity has brought vitality and richness to our communities, differences between traditional and modern values are still troubling sources of tension in the world. We always say that it's good to have a diverse group. However, there are also problems and issues when there is a diverse group. The 21st century challenge for each of us is to build and maintain our own identity from our given traditions and from the wide variety of traditions all around us. At the same time, we must all learn to apply tolerance and compassion for others' different identities and values. With the growing diversity of global traditions and values that now surrounds us, the challenge of maintaining social harmony is great, but the opportunities for richer, more creative, and vibrant communities are even greater. Our historic shift to a 21st century knowledge age, decades in the making, has forever tilted the balance of what is needed and valued in our work, our learning, and our life. In the 21st century, lifelong learning is here to stay. So, here, to make it simpler, communities across the globe are becoming more culturally diverse. So, like what I've said, if we can take Daegu as an example, maybe many years back, Daegu is only a homogeneous society, meaning to say that the people who are here are only Koreans. But look at the present time. We have so many people coming from different parts of the world, living here, working here, studying in here. And so we can say that Daegu is now culturally diverse. So, what can we do? Are we going to be influenced by the tradition, by the values that they bring here in this place? It says that we need not to, but we have to build and maintain our identity from our given traditions. So if we are Korean, let's be Korean. If we're Filipino, let's be Filipino. If we are maybe another nationality, let us be that way. Because we are all important. No race is superior, no race is inferior. We're all one and the same. It's just that we're coming from different races. And so, not only to build and maintain our identity, but also the traditions that we have that goes with our culture. And the goal of the 21st century would be to create a social harmony. Okay? So, again, if we will look back, I want to review what are the four roles of education in the 21st century. First, as I've said, it aims to help the students to contribute to work in society, meaning you have to be the best version of yourself. You have to be somebody who is capable of doing things extraordinary, meaning you can be creative, you can be innovative, and maybe you are expected also to find a solution to a certain problem. So that's why it says that you have to learn the core content, you have to learn how to innovate, you have to learn how to maximize the use of technology, and you have also to acquire career skills. So you are challenged to find new ways to preserve our natural world and to build harmonious, culturally rich, and creative societies. Building does not mean a literal building, but instead to be one, to be someone who will have um, a quiet, simple life that can be in harmony with other people. And then the second is fulfilling personal talents, meaning to say the government is expecting us to be the best person. And how can we do that? By learning what we can learn. Like, we don't only learn our major, but if there's an opportunity for us to learn talents or skills, like for example, the use of Microsoft, or maybe baking or cooking or tour guiding or learning different languages. That's what the society is expecting from us, to be the jack of all trades, to be someone who does not only know about his major, but somebody who has the ability, and these abilities and talents can be shared to other people so that you can help your community, you can contribute to society's growth as well as economy. And then, aside from developing ourselves, we are also expected to fulfill civic responsibilities. Civic responsibilities would be uh, practicing your citizenship in a way that you help the society in whatever concerns that you have, like for example, electing a leader, or maybe voting for whatever is good for the society, or maybe cooperating with what the government would like you to do. Like now they said to practice social distancing, so that's a civic responsibility, to be responsible and to be part of uh, that group of people who obey what the government would like us to do, to put order and to have, of course, harmony. And then it says here that we can do this with the help of digital power tools. And the last one is carrying forward traditions and values. So I did mention here that there are so many changes, so many things happening in the 21st century, like for example, increased mobility, immigration, intermarriage, and the access to job opportunities worldwide. So this results into a blending and mixing of communities across the globe. So it doesn't mean that you have to adapt and you have to disregard your own values as maybe a Korean or as a Thai person, but you have to embrace your identity and probably what you can do would be to help people learn about your culture so that they know how to respect your culture, because knowing means knowing also how to respect. So I hope that you bear in mind that this is something that you have to learn as you stay in the university, and probably as you move to another stage of your life after the university, which is becoming an independent person and maybe someone who will become a knowledge professional. So that ends the role of education for the 21st century. We're going to look at another topic related to this one. So, fortunately, there are a number of powerful global forces that are coming together to help transform learning to meet the demands of our times. So, we have to find a formula on how to prepare ourselves, okay? In order for us to transform ourselves from something old to something new through learning. So, with that, I'll end it here, and you'll hear me again for another topic in the 21st Century Skills course. Thank you for listening, and bye bye. Hello everyone, Professor Arnelene Torres here for another video presentation for the 21st Century Skills course. For this presentation, we're going to listen to the four converging forces. So if you will remember, I have said in my previous video that a number of powerful global forces are coming together to help transform learning to meet the demands of our times. So time is changing, and so therefore, as time is changing, our ways of learning new things and our ways of, I would say, equipping ourselves with the knowledge and skills are also different. And so for this, we're going to learn what are those four converging forces. So I would like to say that if you will look at the cars, cars are considered cultural icons of the modern times. Why do I say that? Because cars have been designed and manufactured in the past decades can reveal how much times have changed. If you will look at some photos or examples of cars, which I don't have here, but probably if you are curious enough, what you can do would be to Google or to go to the internet or to search in the internet the evolution of cars. How has it changed from the very first car or the very first automobile that was manufactured in the maybe 1900s or in the late 1800s? You will see how it has changed. So right now, you know that we only don't use gasoline and I would say diesel to power our car. But nowadays, we can also make use of electric as the source of our car's power. So this is a really, I would say, great innovation in such a way that we do not do a big harm to the environment, because they say that the use of electric cars means that there's less carbon or less poison to the air pollution, and so people or countries are trying to shift from the use of gas and diesel to something that will help the environment to have clean air. So we've seen really how this have changed. Now, in connection to that, there are four powerful forces that are converging and leading us towards new ways of learning in the 21st century. So we see on the screen the 21st century learning. How do we learn things? And we see here that the four powerful forces that are converging. Converging means coming in full force or being together in equipping the students how to learn best during this time. So we have knowledge work, thinking tools, digital lifestyles, and learning research. So these four forces are simultaneously creating the need for new forms of learning in the 21st century, and they are supplying the tools, the environments, and guiding principles required to support the 21st century learning practices. So, in the next slide, we'll look at the knowledge work. Okay? So, as noted in the 21st century, or as noted, the 21st century has already brought historic changes to the world of work. The knowledge age demands a steady supply of well-trained workers, workers using brain power and digital tools to apply well-honed knowledge skills to their daily work. Today, knowledge work is done collaboratively in teams, with team members often spread across multiple locations, using a digital tool of devices and services to coordinate their project, such as cell phones, voice over internet protocol communications, teleconferencing, web conferencing, laptops, personal digital assistants, databases, spreadsheets, calendar and contact management software, email, text messaging, websites, online collaboration spaces, social networking tools, and the list goes on. So the need for knowledge workers to create and innovate new products and services that solve real problems and meet real customers' needs is a major driving force for economic growth and work in the 21st century. Shortages of well-trained workers, especially in technical areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are a growing concern among business leaders. This demand has led to a brisk global talent trade and to heated controversies over practices such as bringing in skilled foreign workers on special visas and outsourcing work to lower wage countries such as India and China. Many high-tech corporations are also making substantial investments in global programs to attract students to technical fields and to train and certify them in technical skills. Some multinational corporations are now investing in teachers' professional development and the digital outfitting of schools around the globe so that the pipeline for future knowledge workers will be full and flowing fast. In short, the pressure is increasing on education systems around the world to teach in ways that will produce the knowledge workers and innovators businesses need to be successful in the 21st century knowledge economy. So, in short, what I'm trying to say here is nowadays the knowledge workers are expected to bring with them um, a set of knowledge or the applied skills that we talked about in our lecture, in the video presentation when they go to the workplace. But of course, it's not only the brain power that they have, or they cannot just rely on their brain power because we are living in the digital age. And so there are digital tools that will help them to do what is expected of them. And as you see here also, it has been mentioned that the setup of workplaces is it's made up of teams. That's why we emphasize the need for collaboration. Because if you do not know how to collaborate, you will not be able to work as a team, and you will not be able to learn how to become a team player. Another setup of the workplace is it has multiple locations, meaning to say there's no single place for the business, but it is usually situated or set up in different parts of the world, as we can see here in the example. And it's also mentioned here that aside from collaboration and aside from having teams, they use different tools and devices to coordinate their project work. So what are these? These are the things that I've mentioned. Smartphones, voice over internet, teleconferencing, web conferencing, laptops, personal digital assistants, databases, spreadsheets, emails, and there's a long list. So there's no reason why you will say that cannot get in touch, or I cannot reach that person, or I cannot have access to that business, because we have a zoo of devices that can help us to coordinate whatever we need to coordinate. That if in case we need to finish a project work, then we can make use all of these tools and devices. And also, as a knowledge worker, we are expected to innovate new products and services. We are also expected to solve real problems, and we are expected to meet the needs of the real customers. So, as customers are getting more experience, as customers are having more access to information, because we have a global setup wherein there are no boundaries, then their expectations, their demands are much more higher. And so it highlights the importance of knowing how to become a knowledge worker. So meaning you really have to invest on the knowledge in order for you to fit in the workplace. But of course, the good thing is our brain has a limited capacity. Our brain cannot really, I would say, perform just like the performance of the digital tool. That's why it says here that as a knowledge worker, or this knowledge work can be intensified or can be done in collaboration or paired with what we call digital tools. What is important is you have the applied skills with you and you know how to use the technology. So the last part that I did mention about this knowledge work is there's a pressure in the education system around the world. A pressure to teach in ways that will produce knowledge workers. That's why we have this course, we have this class, because we want you to be ready. We want to produce students who are knowledge professional and who can innovate the business in such a way that it can help to be part of the 21st century knowledge economy. Okay, so another force that we have is the thinking tools. Technology and the digital devices and services that fill a knowledge worker's toolkit, what we call the thinking tools of our time, may be the most potent forces for change in the 21st century. The speed at which the underlying information and communication technologies are developing is truly outstanding. So we see here that computer microchips continue to double their processing speed every 18 months. The average cell phone has more processing power than all computers used to plan and run the early space missions. The density of the data that we can store doubles every 12 months. As a matter of fact, The 140 million books, photographs, memories, and other documents of the U.S. Library of Congress can now fit on a single digital tape cassette. How amazing, right? The density of the data that we can put in one gadget and the amount of information that we can transmit over optical fibers doubles every 9 months. All the books ever written can be transmitted over an optical fiber the width of your hair, just a couple of seconds. So it's really amazing how this technology are changing the way we store information, changing the way on we treat information. So with the mushrooming capacity to process, store, and transmit the bits and bytes of information, we are rapidly gaining fingertip access to much of the world's available information. So what do you need? You don't need to memorize. You just need to know where to get the information. Gone are the days that you have so many folders, that you have so many drives or USBs for you to keep everything. Because everywhere, as long as there's a cloud drive, you can access the information. So in the past, memorizing the tightest set of known facts, rules, figures, and dates of any school subject was a challenging but necessary part of learning. Your teachers force you to memorize. Memorize history like the Joseon dynasty, memorize the dates, memorize the names, memorize figures, because during the early times, there's no bucket for knowledge storage. But now, it's not necessary anymore because today, attempting to memorize the overflowing storerooms of facts and knowledge in any field is impossible. But an immense number of facts that can be remembered or accessed as needed with a quick internet search. That's why I said information is within your reach. You just have to Google it, you just have to go to Naver, you just have to use your fingers or maybe just a finger, and it will give you the information that you need. So thinking and knowledge tools are helping us to learn, work, and be creative. But they entail a host of downsides. There are also downsides about this. So again, I'd like to look back. So it's easy for us to learn, work, and be creative as we use this what we call thinking tools. Okay, I have said that there are so many ways to actually access information. However, there are downsides. What are the downsides? The beeps and fanfares of cell phones, the flood of email. Why there are beeps and fanfares of cell phone? There's always notification. There's always something to sell. You get messages that you don't need because most often these are spam mails, and also the email folder that you have is flooding of emails. You have a lot of text messages, a lot of tweets, because there are spam and advertising messages that flow through. There are dozens of file formats and endless software updates to juggle. Always you see on your computer asking you to do an update. How there are also software crashes, like for example, people are crashing or hacking sites, private sites. That's why we have also privacy concerns, identity theft, and so on. So again, I'm trying to say that this is of the downside of having that technology. Okay, so if we have good things about technology, we also have the downside, which are the things that I did mention. And so the issue that we are facing now is The quantity of information is not the same as quality. The quantity of information is not the same as quality. Much of what is available to us is rumor, personal opinion, marketing copy disguised as web content, or otherwise unreliable material. So we have to be smart in choosing the right information, the true information, if in case we are using the internet to source for knowledge. So nonetheless, as technology continues to improve, the benefits of our digital tools seem to far outweigh the drawbacks. The mental task of knowledge work accessing, searching, analyzing, storing, managing, creating, and communicating information and knowledge are becoming easier and more efficient as our digital tools for thinking, learning, communicating, collaborating, and working become more powerful, integrated, connected, and easier to use. So, what are the two forces that we've learned here? First, we've said that one force is the knowledge work, and the other one is thinking tools. So, we will continue with the other two forces in the next video that you will hear for next week.